to the first official series of TEW9. It's season 2 of From Then to Now. And we're starting off by showing you the new thumbnail concept for this save, because of course we're using both WCW and the WWF. So what I've decided to do is, we know that 92 and 24 is From Then to Now, so I decided to throw one in the middle. I picked 01, probably the peak of wrestling, and we've got 3 superstars to represent the top face of the competition and the top face of the WWF. Now, I may have slightly manipulated the top face of the competition line just so I could make the joke of having 3 different Stings. Surfer Sting from 92, Crow Sting from 2001, although he's lost half his face, and Old Man Sting from AEW's Revolution this year. I just thought that was a bit of a funny way to start, considering Sting is probably going to be a big character in this save. So the way each episode is going to work with this save, you'll get our main A show first, and then you'll get the 2 B shows for each company, and that'll be one episode. One episode will last 1 week of in-company time. Then episode 2 will do that same week for WWF. Because obviously, yes, because of the way the calendar works, I'm going to be starting with WCW. Because the Wednesday, the 1st of January 1992, was the date which Saturday Night was taped on. So we're doing Saturday Night and Worldwide. And then tomorrow we've got Main Event. Friday, we're going to be taping Superstars. And I can't remember both of the WWFB shows, which is a shame, but that's next episode's worry. So you know what? That's enough rambling. How about we play this game? Let's start From Then to Now. And if you're here, make sure you could subscribe and comment to say that you were an episode 1er of From Then to Now Season 2. Because my genuine plan is to spam this save as much as physically possible to make it to now. Will I make it? Let's be realistic here. So we open up the show, and I'm going to click on this to get the full read through up. If I can click on it, apparently not. Why is this not letting me click on this? There it is. So, Sting comes down to the ring to open up Saturday Night. And he says, you know what? Whilst the Dangerous Alliance are currently in my crosshairs, my end goal hasn't changed. My end goal is to replicate what I did in the NWA and become the WCW World Heavyweight Champion. Now, you know what? The current champion is off to bodybuilding or something, whilst I am here putting my body on the line every single week for this company. Where is this supposed face of the company? I don't see him. But Lex Luger's music does hit. But out comes Harley Race. And he says, Sting, Lex Luger's not scared of you. He's dealt with you before. Remember, you guys used to be friends. And look what happened. It ended with you beaten and bruised. Because that's how this ends, Sting. He knows exactly how to deal with you. And he will deal with you once he returns. Because Lex Luger's a big enough star that he doesn't even need to be here. And people start talking about him. You're proving my point. But business is business. And hey, a good deal does nobody any harm. I just love doing a bit of business. And Rick Rude comes charging out the crowd and attacks Sting from behind with his United States title. Wallops him from behind. Big punches. The Stinger is down. He gets a bit of a comeback, and Rude and Race patter. And Sting gives chase. So we got a 67 for the Sting and Race promo, and a 60 rating for Rick Rude attacking Sting. And Harley Race got a bonus off script in both segments. Show got a hot start, crowd's hotter. And our first match of the save sees York Enterprises, Richard Morton and Thomas Rich, defeat the Japanese New Japan Dream Team of Jushin Thunder Liger and the Great Muta Kaiji Muto in just over 12 and under 12 and a half minutes. Gets a 58 wrestling, a 48 crowd, and a 65 overall for the hot crowd. But Richard Morton pins Jushin Thunder Liger with his diving crossbody. Liger, head and shoulders above everyone else, 73. Next closest was Muta, 64. And Morton, the winner, only gets a 50. But it's still better than former NWA World Champion Thomas Rich. And after that, we cut backstage, and Sting is there. And he says, "Oh, Rick, you think you're clever. Now, I don't know what kind of deal you have here with Race and Luger, but I also don't care. Because congratulations, Knoxville, because tonight you're getting the Sting main eventing Saturday night. So send any one of your so-called dangerous alliance out to the ring, and I will teach them all the lesson I've designed just for you, Rick." Big passionate Sting promo, although unfortunately the Let's Get Dangerous storyline started off extremely hot, and we are losing heat rapidly, which has been my big issue on this game, is getting storyline heat. Gets a 70 rating. Vader toys around with PN News for a bit, before finally pinning him with the belly-to-belly suplex. 63 for wrestling, 61 crowd, a 70 overall, and a 79 for Vader's performance. Mwah, chef's kiss. And afterwards, Tony Schiavone steps into the ring and asks Vader, "Vader, what are your goals here?" And he says, "Nobody in this company is brave enough to properly take me on. They just get in this ring and cry to their mummies about facing the Mastodon Vader. So, I've agreed to issue an open contract for Clash of the Champions. Anyone can accept it. You just got to come out and face me and tell the Mastodon next week on Saturday night." We then cut to the commentary booth, where JR and Eric Bischoff are chatting. That is our commentary team for Saturday night. "Well, that is a challenge. Who'll be brave enough to take on that challenge, Eric?" And Eric responds, "Oh, I'm not sure, Jim. Although, I am just getting a message in my ear. We need to cut backstage, because I believe the York Enterprise has something they want to say." And they do, and it was dreadful promo. Don't trust Alexandria York to cut promos. Noted that. And so, they get backstage, and Alexandria York starts talking to the promo for the first and last time. Goes, "Richard Morton has just pinned the WCW Light Heavyweight Champion, the Japanese hero, Jushin Thunder Liger. So, we just went to the WCW Board of Directors, and they told us that Morton needs to fight a number one contenders match next week on Saturday night. So, we look forward to watching Morton beat someone else who just wants to get in the way of his glory." Gets a 37. Don't have Alexandria York cut promos unless she gets better at it. We get a quick squash match here as the crowd is starting to simmer down. El Gigante squashes George South in 3 minutes 42. Gets a 21 overall. Crowd and wrestling both get 31. This was a cool-down match and also a way to introduce a certain act, as El Gigante continues to beat down on George South and Dustin Rhodes and Ricky Steamboat, the World Tag Team Champions, but importantly, technically at this point, El Gigante's Sting Squadron friend. So they get there, and Gigante just stops and just looks at his hand, almost confused as to what he was doing. I mean, a transition song starts playing as Jim Ross starts to do his outro for Saturday night as we go to a commercial break. But Eric Bischoff is looking around as if something's confusing him, as if he's recognizing something. No one else seems to be. The Steiner brothers quickly beat the fabulous Freebirds. Goes 8 minutes 26. Scott Steiner pinning Jimmy Garvin with the Steinerizer. A 60 wrestling, a 50 crowd, a 62 rated overall show. Not too bad. JR and Bischoff have pretty good chemistry. Good team to put together. In fact, so many chemistry bonuses in this match. Loving that. This is our storytelling match of the night. Ron Simmons defeats Rip Rogers in 5 minutes 18 with a spine buster. It's just a match designed to make Simmons look good. That's the story. Simmons is a beast. Gets a 46. 2. We then see Tony Schiavone finds Brian Pillman backstage and lets him know that he has been chosen as the number 1 contender match for Jushin Liger's light heavyweight title, as the former champion who lost it at Starrcade. Pillman goes to sleep when he gets jumped. I had hoped to do the text so you could create a little bit of suspense here, but no, it turns out you can see exactly who it is. He's right in the middle of the screen. Oh, I even made it too suspenseful. I took it completely out of the match report in total. But it's Cactus Jack who makes the jump and attacks Brian Pillman. Gets a 50 rating. And our main event sees Steve Austin being the guy to be put forward by the Dangerous Alliance and face Sting. And, well, about 17 minutes into the match, he decides, nope, not doing this anymore, and walks out, taking his television title with him. Gets a 65 wrestling and a 60 crowd rating and a 71 segment. Great stuff. So what did we get overall for this show? A 62. You know what? We're going to start slow. We're going to start off not having these hot storylines, because I don't quite think I've worked out how to get good angles yet. I feel like some of those angles deserve to be a little bit better, and also don't put Alexandra York in an angle. But we're now going to cut to the B shows, and I will give a disclaimer because I forgot to sort this out before the booking. Worldwide was filmed before WCW Saturday Night. As such, it might not be entirely canonical. I'll let you work out what I mean by that. Well, I thought this little interlude in between the two B shows would be a good time to show you our booking team. Got Dusty, Paulie Dangerously, and Jim Ross. It's probably not going to go well because there's personality crashes and personality issues. But they're the 3 best bookers I've got, because I'm playing as Eric Bischoff, and all 3 of them are better than me. So, we use what we can. And so, Worldwide Wrestling, only being broadcast in the UK at the moment. We'll probably change that, but this is also the 1st of January, so not really much can do. Kicks off with the Dangerous Alliance cutting a promo. Paulie doing all the talking here. chatting about bringing more gold into the group and issues a challenge to Ricky Steamboats and Dustin Rhodes for the WCW World Tag Team Championships. Who will be the two to compete for it? We don't know yet, but two of the Dangerous Alliance want those tag team titles. It's a 45. Paul Lee was the only one doing the talking, so this is entirely rated on his talking. That's worryingly low then. Because somehow Paul Lee dangerously doing a promo was worse than Joey Mag, Sonny Trouts and the Italian Stallion versus York Enterprises of Mr. Hughes, Richard Morton and Thomas Rich. Which gets a 44 wrestling rating and a 36 crowd rating, gets a 49 overall. Best in the match was Richard Morton, as you'd probably expect, but yeah, the York Enterprises team were the better team. But it was a lot closer than you'd think, actually. It's a 49 rating. We took a risk with this one because it was four unimportant guys. But the Armstrongs of Brad and Scott Armstrong pick up the victory over Rip Rogers and Pat Rose with the Bullet Rider, which is essentially a DDT into a wheelbarrow suplex. Named Bullet Rider after their dad, Bullet Bob Armstrong. 40 rated for Scott, 56 for Brad, 42 for Pat Rose, and a 39 for Rip Rogers. 29 overall, that's what we'd expect, but not going to complain. And after the match, they're interviewed by Eric Bischoff, and they tell us that they have their brother, Steve Armstrong, and Tracy Smothers, and the United States Tag Team titles in their sights. Gets a 34 rating. It's just building up a mid-card tag team feud. Get a quick video promo with the Diamond Mine partying through the city. We're in Knoxville this week, so they're having a party. It's a 54. Brian Pillman cuts a promo saying, you know what? Yeah, he's annoyed to have lost his light heavyweight title, but he respects Liger. He knows that, on that night, the better man won. He's just going to have to work harder, train harder to be the better man next time. That's a 45 rating. Cactus Jack picks up a victory over Marcus Alexander Bagwell. Jack's off his game with a 60, 43 for Marcus. 52 wrestling. The crowd is not into this show. Gets a 40 rating, 55 for the overall. And the main event did get the crowd interested again. A little too late though. As Ricky Steamboat pulls out an 88 on a B show. Jesus Christ, man. Does not do things in half, does he? As Larry Zbyszko, Arn Anderson and Bobby Eaton defeat Barry Windham, Ricky Steamboat and Dustin Rhodes in just 11 minutes 25. When Anderson pins Windham with the spinning spinebuster, gets a 71 overall. 68 wrestling, 59 crowd. Which leaves us with a 60 overall show. Not too shabby. Let's go on to our other B show. And here is our inner circle. Got Arn Anderson, Ricky Steamboat, Sting, Michael Hayes and Brad Armstrong as our locker room leaders. Big Van Vaders, Ron Simmons and Mr. Hughes as our chief enforcers. Lance Russell, our head of talent relations. Cactus Jack, our morale officer. Although I'm pretty sure morale officers are broken in this game. Arn Anderson as well as our senior road agent and our head men's trailer. Nick Patrick is the head referee. We don't have a head women's trainer. And Bob Cook is the only person who was willing to accept the stooge job. And so the main event portion of the show picks off with a bit of a one-night team. And honestly, I wish you could just name teams for one night if you get like a 3 or more man team. Just so you don't have just list of names every single time. But also you can make little jokes like this without having to actually make a faction like I did. Because Dennis Condrey was one of 2 people who asked to come and work tonight. So I thought, absolutely, And let's have a bit of fun with it. Let's pair you with the Freebirds, because there's only 2 of them at the moment. The Freebird Express. And they pick up the win, pinning Junkyard Dog, PN News, and Van Hammer. Gets a 50 rating. It's a 44 wrestling and a 47 for crowd reaction. 50 for Garvin, 51 for High Hayes. The only 2 there I'm really interested in pushing. Although PN News getting a 50 for his pop is actually not bad. We then get a segment with Cactus Jack and Alexandria York, where Alexandria York is shown giving a brown envelope to Cactus. And it turns out that Cactus Jack is also not a great improviser. We'll have to script Cactus from now on, which doesn't feel right. It's a 37 though. I think Alexandria York just being on screen is a bad thing in this game. We then get a bit of a fun segment here. Bob Cook, the jobber, comes out during the commercial break. Johnny B. Bad makes a big long entrance. And both the referee and the commentators, Schiavone and Magnum, are a bit confused. They're like, wait, what? No one directly says it. Until suddenly, the Italian Stallion rolls into the ring. The bell rings. He quickly gets rolled up. 1, 2, 3. And that should have just been 1 minute. But imagine, this literally... No, not that. Oh. 0.05 seconds. Just because the Italian Stallion came up to me, offered me a creative finish, I thought, okay, that sounds a bit fun. It also should not be by submission. That should be by roll-up. It failed. Sadly. 35 wrestling, 22 crowd, 22 overall. This crowd is not enjoying this, but they came to main event here. I'm sorry, this is on them. Mr. Hughes picks up a victory against Al Snow. Mr. Hughes was someone else who Al Snow was someone else who appeared to us before the show, asking to be booked, and it's Al Snow. Maybe a bit early for him. Still thought I'd give him a go though. 42 wrestling, 39 crowd. And I need to remember to take Harley off of Mr. Hughes. It's a 34. Terrence Taylor defeats Mike Jackson, someone who I actually went out to find. Just because I thought I just thought it'd be a fun jobber to have. And Terrence Taylor picks up the win with the sharpshooter. And you know what? They actually have great chemistry. I will give them credit. That crowd, however, has died. And Tom Nash versus the Z-Man doesn't help. Honestly, this crowd has completely died, which probably means you guys have too. So let's go through this a little bit quicker. Eric Bischoff is backstage with Big Josh, who does not do well without a script, even with multiple takes. And Eric Bischoff is backstage and says, "Now my guest at this time has specifically requested this time to address something which happened last night on Saturday night. So Big Josh, you weren't on the show. What the fuck are you talking about?" Obviously, it's 1992 WCW, not in those words. "Well, Eric, I'm here to make a challenge. Or to accept one. Next week on Saturday, I will go to the centre of that ring and sign the contract to take on Big Van Vader at the Clash of the Champions. I know a lot of people don't think I don't stand a chance in that situation. Honestly, they're probably right, but I need to prove it to myself that I belong with the big boys of WCW. And that starts next week on Saturday night." Gets a 25, pretty crap. And our main event, poor them, they don't deserve this dead crowd. Ron Simmons defeats Vinny Vegas. 51 wrestling, a 54 crowd, 50 overall. Not too bad. What do we get overall? That's a 45, which completes our first 3 shows for WCW. So, let me know what you guys think. And I'll see you guys next time for episode 2 of From Then to Now, when we do this exact same thing with the World Wrestling Federation. Bye!